Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the show. It's Gordon in the morning. I'm Gordon. It's the morning, so that makes all kinds of sense. And it's Wildcard Wednesday, the day we throw out the usual script and shake things up a little bit. Because here's the deal, sometimes the biggest breakthroughs happen when you break the rules. Now, I'm not talking about breaking laws. Don't go getting yourself in trouble. But those so-called rules that keep us stuck, those expectations that this is how it's always been done, that needs to be out the window. Some of the most successful people in history got that way because they didn't follow the playbook. They rewrote it. And today we're going to talk about how you can do the same in your creative work, your business, your life, whatever. So, to set the tone, here is a quote that should really fire up your rebel spirit. It says, learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist. And that comes, of course, from Pablo Picasso. Picasso was a master of breaking the rules, but before he became the face of modern art, he spent years learning traditional painting techniques. But he chose not to stay in that box. He broke the rules, he twisted the norms and forms, and he completely reinvented how the world saw art. And that is today's big lesson. You have to know the game before you can change it. The most successful innovators don't just reject the rules blindly, they understand them, they see their limits, and they have the courage to break through. That is what creativity is. The three kinds of rules that will hold you back. Not all rules are bad, but some, well, they're keeping you small. Here are those three types of rules that might be holding you back right now. The first is the industry norm rule. This is how things are done in your field, right? Who says? The most successful people are the ones that break the mold. When an indie podcasters started monetizing their shows directly, skipping the traditional media gatekeepers, there's an example. Second example, or second kind of rule, is the you're supposed to rule. Follow this path to be successful. Well, guess what? College, the 9-to-5, retirement is not the only way. Entrepreneurs, creators, and freelancers, even solo lawyers, rewriting the script on what work means and what career looks like. And then there's the that's just who I am rule. And where you say to yourself, I'm not the kind of person who does that. Well, says who? Every skill, habit, or identity is something that you have the power to change. So an example is how I went from being just a lawyer, another one of the uniformed masses doing their thing, to becoming the podcast lawyer. Well, guess what? I decided it was what I wanted to do, and I made it so. So which of these rules is running your life without you even realizing it? I dare say it's not ruining your life, but maybe it is. Who knows? It's holding you back. It's got you locked in, right? You're inside that box. Time to start thinking outside the box. So you want proof that breaking the rules is what leads to game-changing success? Let's talk about a few legends, people who did break the rules. First off, Hedy Lamarr. Most people knew her as a Hollywood actress, but did you know she was also an inventor? She co-developed frequency hopping technology, and that is the foundation of today's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth technologies. How'd you like to have a little patent action on that back in those days? Back in the 1940s, when she was doing her thing, women weren't supposed to be inventors, let alone change the future of communication technology altogether. She ignored that rule. She did her thing. She came up with an idea. Well, she worked on the idea and developed it, and she is widely credited for that. It was, at the time, she was working on it for the purposes of code breaking and also using to encode messages. So that's kind of interesting. Richard Branson is another example. When he started Virgin Atlantic, people told him, don't go up against the major airlines. It's too competitive. It's too risky. But what did he do? He built an airline his way, customer focused, lots of entertainment and fun and top tier service wrapped up in a cool brand, and it worked. Here's another example. Howard Schultz, the founder, or not the founder, but the creator of what we now think of as the Starbucks company. In the 1980s, Americans thought of coffee as a cheap, fast caffeine fix. Well, Schultz saw how coffee culture in Italy was a whole experience, not just a product. And everyone told him, hey, that's not going to work here. He ignored them and built Starbucks into what it has become. It's a global brand and completely redefined the way people drink coffee. What do all these folks have in common? Well, they saw the rules, they knew them, they learned them, and then they bent, twisted, and shattered them so they could accomplish their goals. Now, I am not telling you go out and start breaking laws or torch your business plan or burn things to the ground, ignore best practices just for the sake of it. What I'm saying is, if the current rules aren't working for you, maybe it's time to stop following them. Think it through and then make choices. Here's how you can do it intelligently. Step one, question every rule. Don't just accept the "this is how it's done" approach. Ask why, dig deep, and if it actually serves you and gets you to the goal. Number two, find the loopholes. The best disruptors don't start from scratch. They find the cracks in the system and they fill it in with something better. And that's important. And then step three, take one bold step. Instead of waiting for permission, give yourself permission to experiment. You give yourself the permission, not the outside world. Because at the end of the day, the biggest wild cards are the ones that change the game. So before we wrap up, let's lock this into our mindset with today's affirmation. Because if you want to transform your career, your creativity, your work, your life, you've got to be willing to challenge the status quo. So here's our quote for the day. Not our quote, our affirmation. I am bold enough to break the old rules and create my own path to success. Say it out loud with me. I am bold enough. I am bold enough to break the old rules and create my own path to success. Write that down. Make it your mantra. Let it remind you that playing by the old rules won't get you to new levels. Well, that's it for my episode today, my friends. That's a wrap on Wildcard Wednesday. We have taken a few minutes today to flip the script on success. The world's biggest breakthroughs don't come from following the rules. They come from understanding the game and then daring to change it. So here's what I want to know from you. What's the one rule you're ready to break? Drop it in the comments and let's talk about it. And while you're at it, did you notice anything? I want you to think about it and let me know if you noticed anything. I'll clue you in later, but something changed and I wanted to see if people notice. So I'll see you next time. Until then, stay bold, stay creative, and go and rewrite the rules.